What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today is a topic that I'm asked on stream quite often, literally multiple times every single night that I'm streaming, and that is, what are your optimal rogue add-ons, UI, and weak auras? So today we're going to go over all of those, all of the ones that I use, and I'm more so specifically focusing on PvE add-ons and weak auras, and also I guess I can also go over like macros and stuff like that. But before I really do this, I do want you to all know that everything is personal preference. It's always going to be personal preference, and whatever you like, whatever you find useful, I just try to make sure that I have the most useful information all in the same spot on my screen. And so I'm going to go over exactly how I did that, how I put everything together, why I'm using these weak auras, why I'm using these add-ons, why I'm using this UI, all of that. So I'm going to take myself off of the screen, of course. As you can see, I also did just get a fresh new Thunder Fury, so I have been doing a lot of PvP. So if you come hang out on stream with me, you will see me doing a lot of PvP with the Thunder Fury, and I'll be doing guides specifically covering exactly how good it is in PvP and PvE in all different specs. So if you want to stay tuned for things like that, make sure to like and subscribe, of course, and come join the Discord so you always know when I want to release something new. Let's do this. Really fast, I should mention before I get into all of this, if you want to copy my exact settings for my unit frames, for my add-ons, for my weak auras, everything, if you want to have all of that, I give it out to everyone in my Discord channel. So if you just sub on Twitch, if your Twitch is linked to your Discord, it'll automatically promote you, but if not, you just let me know. Also, everyone can just join the Discord channel anyways. Shadowed unit frames, it's just a profile. It takes like 2 seconds to set up, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Okay, so the first thing I want to go over is actually going to be my unit frames. So I'm using shadowed unit frames, but there's multiple other unit frames out there, and there's nothing wrong with using just the classic unit frames. So I'm using shadowed unit frames. For me, I just like the setup of having my health bar over here. I have it set up as my health number instead of a health percentage, but you could also set that. This is my energy percentage and then my energy number. So if I had 110 energy, it would say 110, 110 here, but I'd still be at 100% energy. Over on the other side, I have my target, my target's target, and then my target of target's target, which can be a little overkill, but it's nice to see what your tank is targeting. So if mobs are targeting your tank and your tank is targeting a separate mob, then you will want to see that. So like, watch, this guy's targeting me, obviously, and I'm targeting him. But I just like everything to be very clean, all in one centralized area. Okay, so for the unit frames, you just type in /SUF and it opens up. If you're gonna use my unit frame profile, what you need to do is click this advanced tab, because you won't see a layout management here unless you click the advanced tab. It actually took me much longer than I anticipated, or I want to admit, to figure that out, but then you can import and export your unit frames. The first thing I want to go over is, in general, I have my unit frames locked, but if you unlock them, I can see all of my unit frames, and you can just move everything around pretty simply. So if it was an encounter with multiple bosses, they would be over here. All of my raid frames are here. The raid frames kind of do stack on your party frames, so when you're setting this up for yourself, it will look really jumbled. If I was playing a hunter, my pet's frame would be right here as well, and then all of the other things. I have it set up already, so we're going to keep it locked. I'm not in a party, but you would see my party frames here or my raid frames over here. But you can also use the default Blizzard ones, and you can also disable a lot of the default Blizzard ones as well. So there's a lot of things, and you can change a lot of how it looks. The enabled unit frames, the ones that I'm using, are mine as a player, pet, obviously target, target of target, and target of target's target. And then I have party and raid and boss frames. So you can enable all of these or disable anything. You can also have main tank, main assist, all of those things enabled as well. Going straight into my specific profile, I guess I don't need to dive into it too much because you guys should be able to figure it out yourself. But I enable the portrait only on mine because I do like seeing the portrait. The non 3D one looks all right. It like stretches the portrait itself and it looks kind of ugly, to be honest. So I have my 3D portrait on mine, but I don't like how the portrait looks on enemies, so I don't have the portrait on my enemies. The real thing here that you want to look for is text and tags. This is the bread and butter of this unit frame, and so you can have your left text where I have it selected to be my group number. So if I was in a group, right by my name, you would see my group number. In the order of what you select things, you can see it up top. In the order of when you select things, it'll say like, oh, it'll show me being AFK before it'll show my name, and then my group. And as you deselect and reselect, it'll set it up in that order. There's so many options here and you can do everything. So my left text right now just shows my name, obviously. My right text shows my current HP versus my max HP. And in the power bar, you can also enable all of the things you want as well. So this is like the bread and butter here where you can go and decide exactly what you want on each side. If you want percentages, if you want to see anything. And the aura indicator actually just shows you if you have buffs or things like that. So auras and aura filters, you can hide them, but you can keep them as well. Sometimes it'll get annoying, so you might want to just go in there and clean it up however you want it. But the big thing here, right, there's other unit frames and every single unit frame has a different aesthetic to it. So I chose this one because I like how it looks with all of the rest of my UI, and that's it though. Like there's no specific reason of it being better or worse, so you can choose whichever ones you want and set it up to your liking. Next, I'm gonna go over add-ons because I'm gonna leave weak auras for the end because they're a little more complicated and I don't know if I will go super in depth with it, but I think add-ons are a great one to go over. So I'm actually gonna open up my add-ons and show you exactly what I have, and then I'll talk about each one specifically. A blue shaman is just for hordes. Instead of shamans appearing as pink like paladins, they show up as blue, which is just aesthetic. It doesn't actually change anything else. Atlas loot, almost everybody has this, so you can look up loot. It's just an easy loot add-on. Auctionator is my auction add-on, but you can choose any of them. There's a billion of them. Auto carrot will literally put on your carrot on a stick right as you mount up. So it'll automatically put on your carrot on the stick, and then you dismount, it'll take off your carrot on the stick. It's pretty nice for quality of life and just moving faster, but it can be a little annoying in world PvP or if you get in combat while you're mounted up. So you might want to disable that. Auto dismount just makes it so you don't have to have /dismount on your attacks. So if you do anything, it'll automatically dismount you, which is an annoying thing in Classic, but it's just a quality of life add-on. Classic cast bars, everyone should have this, no matter what. PvP or PvE, you need to see when things are casting and it'll show you a cast bar. Details is the damage meter I use because it seems to be more reliable than recount. So I like to use details, that's all that is. Align is a very useful add-on and it helps you set up your UI. So you just type /align and just look at that. It's a perfect grid so you can set up your UI so that it is perfectly symmetrical and it's just very clean, which is super useful. If you're not using that, then you're just kind of going off of looks and things can be a little off center, which I really like a very clean aesthetic. Gathermate 2 and Gathermate data are pretty much just add-ons for farming out in the world. As you can see on my mini map, or if I go to my actual map, you can see where different spawn locations of anything you need to farm is. And on this character, I have it set so that it's only things that I've picked up myself that are added, but you can download profiles to add everything so that you can see like all of the rich thoriums in every zone before you even go there yourself. And then you can deselect like mithril and you can deselect anything else, small thorium veins, so that it won't show those if you wanted. And you can also do this with herbing or like anything. It's pretty crazy. Item rack. Item rack is an extremely useful add-on and I have it up here. So item rack is an add-on for you to be able to switch your items, not really in combat because it actually queues items if you switch them in combat, like things like weapons, so that it will switch right as you get out of combat. The thing here is you can't switch your weapons while in combat. With item rack, you'll have to use either a keybind or click in it yourself. But a really useful thing here is you can keybind your sets. I currently don't have any sets set on my main, but on my warrior, and on my mage, I have multiple different sets that I keybind, and I should keybind my fire resist set, but we have been doing mostly speed runs, so you don't have to put on any fire resist for that. But you can just keybind to press one button and it'll change everything. You can also do an alt click on any item and then move it around so that I can set this up down here next to my trinkets. If I wanted to change my gloves, so like PvP gloves, mining gloves, ACLG, I can easily change those. And you can do that multiple times with literally any item. KUI nameplates is the nameplate add-on that I use. So let's go attack something. All right, right here. So this is KUI nameplates. It's just very clean, and there's a lot of customization you can do also. I got it back in retail when I was doing a lot of Mythic Plus, because you can change the colors of the nameplates as you are losing aggro, or if you have aggro, and if you're a tank, it's extremely useful, or if you're getting close on aggro, it's extremely useful as well. Nova world buffs also goes perfectly with layer hopper. It tells me that I'm on layer 2 right now. So then if I go to check Orgrimmar, obviously, if you don't know this by now, everybody should have Nova world buffs. So you can see the timers of world buffs dropping and when they're off of cooldown. Not exactly when they're going to drop, but when they're off of cooldown. It is extremely, extremely useful for managing getting your world buffs in an optimal manner. And I do have a guide already out there for you to get your world buffs in whatever order you want. Omni CC is a great add-on for PvP, but also it'll just show you bars or icons that are going over the CC that you have on mobs. And so it's extremely, extremely useful, and you want to download both of them at the same time. Poisoner is another add-on that's super useful, and so you can see I can click this, or I can just right click or left click, but I can click this and open up any of my poisons that I have on me. If I right click, it'll do my main hand, so instant poison on my main hand. If I left click, it'll do an instant poison on my off hand. It's super useful. Poisoner also boasts the ability to let you buy as many poisons at one time as you want, but it actually is kind of buggy, I've found, so I don't use it for that. There is another add-on that can do that, but I just use actually a script for both of those, and I can post those. Those are both actually in the Discord. So if you join the Discord, you can get the scripts that'll buy all of the mats you need to make 20 of each of the poisons. So pretty much any of the poisons you need. Ring menu is another add-on that I set up to have one keybind can pretty much just do very useful things for me, like finding my engineering or cooking, but also shows some of my consumables. I don't actually end up using it too much in the actual game. It's super useful, and I probably should start using it more. Threat Classic 2 is my threat meter, and there's another threat meter that's very useful called Tiny Threat, but everybody in your guild should already have a consensus of what threat meter they're using, and pulling threat is just a huge issue in Classic WoW, so you want to make sure that you're not doing that. Weak auras. I will go over weak auras in 1 second, but those are the biggest thing that I use. I think these are the most important add-on in the entire game, the most customizable add-on in the entire game, and they are extremely, extremely useful. Deja Classic Stats also just shows me my stats, and it's very customizable as well, but you can look at your crit, your hit. You can also find like your crit cap, hit cap. You can also do so much more with it, but I have it set up pretty basic where it's just showing me my stats. And then right after that, obviously, is deadly boss mods, which everybody should have for boss cooldowns and boss abilities. It's extremely useful, and if you're raiding without DBM, that's a questionable choice. Okay, so now we can get into weak auras, and weak auras are probably the most amazing thing, I think, in the game. Everybody always asks me pretty much every day about this center hub that I have here. And this is all just weak auras that I customize at the very beginning of Classic WoW. And as I've raided more and more, I've adjusted them bit by bit, but I use weak auras for multiple things. So you can see my CC right above my target, and these timers are from weak auras. And so then if I blind or gouge the target, also from weak auras. I also have weak auras for my own buffs. So if I use Slice and Dice, I have it in the middle weak aura. And if I use anything else that's another buff, I have it over my own unit frame. The reason why I have Slice and Dice in the middle is because you're always in PvE making sure that you're keeping Slice and Dice up. So I always make sure that it's just in the same spot that I'm looking at for everything else, which is your combo points, your energy time, and your weapon swings. So let me just go over this central hub for you guys really fast. I have all of my weak auras in the Discord channel, by the way, guys, but for this center hub right here, what I have here is Crusader first on top, and if you proc a double Crusader, it'll glow so that you'll know when to use cooldowns if you are rocking Crusader. Slice and Dice right below it, because this is the finishing move that you are managing pretty much the entire time during any raid encounter, and pretty much the entire time any PvE encounter. This is probably the most important thing for you to look at, is making sure you have Slice and Dice 100% uptime. Right below that, I have my combo points, and as I build combo points, it'll actually change colors. So let me just attack this mob really fast so you guys can see. So 1 combo point green, 2 combo points slightly brighter green, 3 combo points is yellow, but the big one is where as you're getting towards the end, it'll get orange, and then 5 combo points red. So you know to use your abilities. If you're doing a 5-point ability, you have 5 combo points there, it is red. And below that, I have my energy. So here I also have an energy timer, so an energy tick time, and also I have how much energy I have. So if I've wasted any energy, it'll show my energy tick timer, and then also I have that right above a weapon swing. And there's other add-ons you can use to do things, exact same things like this. It's just, I'm using this weak aura because it's aesthetically pleasing to me. Here, I will start attacking this mob. And as I use energy, you're gonna see my energy tick, boom, energy tick, boom, energy tick. And that's extremely useful having these next to each other for PvE, especially if you're Horde, because you can time your abilities for right after a weapon swing so that you don't reset your weapon swing timer with a Wind Fury, or if you're sword spec with a sword proc, or if you're still using Hodge, or if you're world buffed using Hodge with a Hand of Justice proc. So if you don't really understand exactly what I'm talking about right there, I do go over that in another guide with the top 5 actual rogue tips and secrets that all rogues should know. So I'm gonna link that in the description as well. But just know that it's extremely useful to have these together with each other. And if you want weak auras similar to this, but you don't want like my exact weak aura, you can head over to a website called wag.io.com, and there's a lot of weak auras there for rogues, as well as weak auras for pretty much anything. You could find pretty much any weak aura if you don't want to design them yourself or copy my exact UI. You don't have to whatsoever. As for weapon swings, you can also use a weapon swing timer called actually weapon swing timer. I just aesthetically don't like it. I don't like the way it looks, but there's also options for the other things here. So for combo points, you could use Nug combo points. And for your energy tick itself, you could also use Nug as well. Nug has a lot of add-ons that work very good for rogues. I personally don't like the way they look, but they're extremely useful, and they're pretty much the same thing. Almost every rogue out there, if they're not running a weak aura for their energy, is using Nug. So you could be using Nug right now, and it doesn't really change anything. I like weak auras. Both of them are very customizable, so I just like the aesthetic, and I liked how I set my things up. The next weak auras I'm going to look at is the buffs weak aura that will stack all of your buffs as you use them. There are other add-ons as well that can do this, but I have weak auras that do this, that stack all of your buffs as you use them, as well as your target's debuffs. And I'll show this again to you guys in a second, but you have a bajillion different types of debuffs, so it'll kind of bog your screen as you're looking at that personally. But as I attack this, right, you're gonna see the gouge right above the target of target. And you can move these around and customize them any way you want. Gouge, kidney shot, blind, and then like on my side, evasion. Let's go, and we will gouge them again, and we'll rupture. So, and these things will stack, right? All of these will stack. So pretty much weak auras do the biggest amount of work for me out of anything in the game. When you're raiding, you're just watching this center hub and watching whatever's happening in the raid. But this is where everything really needs to happen. You need to know what your energy is, what your combo points are, what your slice and dice time is, like how much you have left of it, and your weapon swings. Mainly if you're Horde. It's less important for your weapon swing if you are Alliance. Other very useful weak auras that I use are a lip and FAP tracker, and there's actually some lip weak auras made by people out there that you can use for opening on Veil. Like, lips are extremely useful for opening on some of the boss fights, especially if you're going to DPS right away and you're horde and you're worried about pulling aggro, so you can pop a limited invulnerability potion. And I go over that and the strategies on using that and why it's useful in that same guide that I linked earlier. There are weak auras that will tell you when the lip is available, and as it's about to end, it'll say for you to vanish. So you can find weak auras that'll tell you to vanish out on wag.io, the same website where you can find a lot of useful weak auras. That's pretty much all I'm really using on this character. I also have a debuff tracker, but I'm not using it for the most part. So if I hide the debuffs, I have a debuff tracker that I didn't design, somebody gave this to me, but it'll show how many stacks of Sunder Armor are on a boss or a mob, if Fairy Fire is up, if Annihilator is up, and Curse of Recklessness. So pretty much you'll know to use all of your abilities if all of these are up, because the boss has the least armor possible. And really fast, before I finish off with the weak auras, there's two useful ones that I use in the raid. One is a Dominate Mind weak aura, which will tell you who's being MC'd. So on Lucifron or the first pull in BWL, if you're about to be mind controlled, you can see that and you can vanish it. The next one that is very useful as well is the Elemental Shield weak aura. And once again, all of my weak auras are in the Discord channel, but this isn't one I designed either. If things have Detect Magic on them, it will instantly show you what vulnerability it is. So that is probably one of the most useful ones, especially if you're on like a mage. So if you have a mage alt, but it's useful for rogues because when fire vulnerability happens, you're going to want to use a sapper charge just to push those parses. And that, I believe, is everything that I've gone over: my weak auras, my UI, my add-ons. If I missed anything, guys, please let me know. There's a few macros I use, and if you guys are curious about the macros, definitely let me know, and I'll post like a short video in the Discord or something for a Discord only video just to go over every macro I use for PvE, and I can go over the macros for PvP as well if you are interested in that. Other than that, guys, thank you all for watching. As usual, come join the Discord, come hang out with us on stream at twitch.tv/Sarth. Anytime you want to. We always have a good time there. I've been doing a lot of PvP lately, and I'm going to start my PvP guides shortly. And last but not least, as always, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see anything in the future, just leave me a note in the comments and I will get back to you guys with that. My name is Sarth, and have a good one.